All right, bonsoir tout le monde. Merci à tous d'être présents sur l'appel ce soir avec un invité spécial. Je pense que vous savez c'est qui. Bienvenue à la team Building Future de l'équipe Richardo avec Josiane. Et on a quand même aussi invité Dominique Pagé avec peut-être certains de ses agents là, qui vont se connecter. Joël Henry est là. Je pense que j'ai vu Mathieu Laurando. Yes, Ariane. Fait que il y a l'équipe Building Future, Vision, Team Pagé, Fessis. Vraiment nice de tous vous voir réunis au même endroit là, avec Greg ce soir. Donc, écoutez, je vais vous demander d'avoir la caméra ouverte pour ceux qui n'ont pas encore la caméra ouverte, puis c'est possible pour eux. Si vous ne pouvez pas, c'est correct, on l'apprécie quand même. Je vais commencer par introduire Greg en français pour commencer. Puis par la suite, il y a Holly, qui est ma conjointe, qui va introduire Greg en anglais, juste par respect, par principe. Puis par la suite, là, Greg va pouvoir vous parler, puis peut-être que Ali, là, tout de suite après, va pouvoir traduire quand que Greg va transmettre les messages en passant. Fait que là, guys, là, je vais en profiter pendant qu'on est en français, là, OK, là. Fait, après qu'on ait introduit Greg, je veux voir comme avec l'énergie, faites des émoticônes, des fire up, des peu importe, des thumbs up, des mains dans les airs, comme ça, baron, whatever. Faites n'importe quoi, OK, pour vous montrer que vous êtes excité d'avoir Greg ici ce soir, OK? Donc, quoi dire de Monsieur Greg Sinaka? Fait, Greg, écoutez, pour ceux qui l'ont peut-être vu là, dans le message que j'ai envoyé tantôt, euh, Greg, c'est 21 ans d'expérience chez le groupe financier mondial. Il fait un revenu de 3 millions de dollars par année. Le numéro 24 de la compagnie, donc en 24e position à travers la compagnie au complet. Donc Canada, États-Unis, Porto Rico, avec 35 millions de points d'équipe en 2023. En 27e position dans toute la compagnie avec 6787 nouveaux agents en 2023 et en 23e position dans toute la compagnie avec 528 nouvelles licences en 2023. Greg, c'est quelqu'un que tout le monde que j'ai croisé, que ce soit à travers le Canada, États-Unis, quand j'ai été dans des voyages d'affaires, que ce soit à Case Valley, que ce soit à Las Vegas, que ce soit à Banff, peu importe, comme tout le monde apprécie Greg. C'est la personne qui a formé Jason Bergeron. C'est juste un homme exceptionnel, un papa de deux petites filles. C'est aussi un mari. C'est vraiment un honneur de l'avoir avec nous parce que c'est quand même une personne très, très, très occupée. Donc, c'est réellement un privilège de l'avoir avec nous. Puis, je vais laisser Ali l'introduire par la suite en anglais.
Good job. Hi, Greg. He said so many nice things, and I wish you understand them all, but I'm just going to give you a little English introduction here because I think you really deserve it, a tiny bit, just a little. I know you don't like big, long introductions because you're that type of a guy, but you deserve it. So for everyone on the call, Greg, if you don't know Greg, you need to know Greg. Greg is the most is the kind of guy that like is very, very successful and you would not know because it's just he's so humble. He will talk to you. He'll like remember your name. He'll remember a bunch of stuff. He's just a human and a people guy, right? So he's very much present for the team, and he's how to say, life blessed us with a great leader because he's very much still present and he has a mission very much close to his heart, and that's why I think Destiny, Dynasty, sorry.
Destiny
They're so
Dynasty.
similar. Is succeeding that much, and Jason is so close to Greg's leadership because we believe that we need to be aligned because why change a successful recipe? So Greg, we want to pass you the ball. Thank you so much for taking some time for personal coaching. You have many teams, and we really appreciate it. So I'm passing the ball to you, Greg.
Thank you both very, very, very much. And thank you everybody for the invitation to be here tonight and for planning some time in your schedule. We planned this quite a long time ago, and I've been looking forward to it since we booked it. So we get to, hopefully as we're talking, we get to reflect a little bit on, did our 2023 go the way that we wanted it to? And what are we willing to do to make 2024 even better? Personally, I'm coming into 2024 having made the commitment that 2024 is going to be the best year of my life. It's going to be the best year in my business. It's going to be the best year with my family. It's going to be the best year with my fitness. It's going to be the best in every area. And I want you to notice that I said that I'm committed that it is going to be the best year. I'm not saying I hope that it will be the best year. I'm saying that I am committed that it is going to be the best year. And so I suggest to all of you that you have that type of mindset going into 2024 as well. And I know that some of the I pick a little bit out when you say, when you're speaking in French, and then some numbers or the couple English words that do come out. But I think you talked about how our team is at over 35 million points a year, which means that we are helping thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of families. Probably approximately 10,000 families helped last year just by our team, and that includes all of you. So I want you to know that I'm very, very grateful to be in business with you. Whether I know you or not, I want to meet you. But whether I know you or not, I'm grateful that you're part of this company. I'm grateful that you're part of this team. And part of what my job is now every day is to do whatever I can to provide resources that are going to help everybody to get their business where they want to go. So the first thing that I would typically, that I would like to talk about is just to tell you a little bit about my background. And more than anything, I want to tell you about my background so that it can help all of you believe that you could do this too. So I started in this business in 2003. I got a phone call from a guy so my family owned a booster juice store. I think in Quebec, they're called le jus de booster, I think. Je pense que le jus de booster, right? And so my family owned a smoothie shop business, and there was a gentleman that worked in Calgary, owned a business from that same company. Our store was doing okay. We could make enough money to pay the bills. His store was not doing good at all. And he called me up one day to talk about WFG and said, I want to meet with you. I want to show you this business. And I didn't really know what he was talking about, but I just thought, okay, I'll get together with you. He was excited. So there is, I think, an important note to make. He was excited, and he assumed that we were getting together. He did not ask me, so do you want to get together, or so do you want to meet with me? He said, let's get together. When do we have time? I'm free on this day. Are you free on this day? So possibly there's something that you could learn from that, making sure that when you're talking to people that you're excited. And I think that you are assuming that they will meet with you as well. And I still do that to this day. That if I call somebody, I don't really ask them, so do you want to get together? I tell them, I think we should get together. Are you free this day or this day? Or are you free this week or next week? Little bit of a bit of advice. Interestingly, it turned out that my parents had a WFG advisor. So I went and told my parents that I was thinking about, I was looking at, I was going to meet and talk about WFG, and they said, oh yeah, our advisor is at WFG. And I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. So to me, that brought some credibility that my parents had invested money through World Financial Group, and they were happy with their advisor. I even remember the day after. So my life changed from one meeting in a coffee shop on a Saturday morning. My life changed forever. You never know where you're going to be or when it's going to happen, but that changed my life forever. I remember going for dinner with my mom and dad that night. My sister was out of town somewhere. I have a younger sister. She's 3 years younger than me. But I went for dinner with my parents that night. And when the bill came for dinner, I said to my mom and dad, I said, I'm going to buy dinner tonight, because today I found a business that I'm going to make a lot of money. And so I bought dinner that night, and I think we kind of laughed like, haha, okay, maybe you're going to make money, maybe you won't. But that was where it all started for me, was a meeting in a coffee shop. I want you to know, and this is for you personally, but this is also for your future teammates, to hopefully give them hope, is that I almost quit this business a whole bunch of times. All of the people that you see that are really, really successful, whether you think of Jason Bergeron or Rial Michaud or Ben Leclerc, we all had challenges in this business. And my first challenge is that I was not very good at studying. So it took me 8 months to get my license. And I almost quit the business because I couldn't get my license. So if you have teammates that are struggling with the licensing, tell them my story. Tell them not to give up. So that was one big challenge. I didn't know how to study, and I almost quit the business because I couldn't pass exams. Next is that my market did not seem to be a good market to talk to about financial products. I was 22 years old. Everybody that I was talking to was 20, 21, 22, 23 years old. Very few of them had good jobs. Some of them were in school. They didn't have any money. And so it was very difficult for me to help clients and make sales because they didn't really care about money. So I started thinking, well, maybe this business will work for other people, but maybe it just won't work. Maybe it just won't work for me. And then on top of that, I also had some people that told me that this wasn't going to work. They told me it was a pyramid. They told me it was a scam. They told me I wasn't going to make any money. They told me, an interesting thing. Do you think that any of those people that said that to me 20 years ago, do you think that any of them would say that to me right now? No, they do not talk that way anymore. And that was something that when people said those types of things, that inspired me, that I wanted to be much, much more successful. I want to share with you a couple of the most important things that I learned in this business at the beginning. Maybe before I get into that, I do want to tell you that you don't have, when you first start this business, it's okay if you can only think small. What I mean by that is, when I started this business, the number one goal that I had was that I wanted to make $1,000 a month. That was my number one goal, is I wanted to make $1,000 a month. I wanted to learn about money, but I wanted to make $1,000 a month. I wanted to help people, but really I wanted to make $1,000 a month. And why did I want to make $1,000 a month? Because I was sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I was tired of not having any money. I never had any money, right? I got paid every second Friday. And basically, as soon as I got paid, all the money was gone. Maybe I had a little bit of money to go out with my friends that night, and all of the money was gone. And then I basically had no money until 2 weeks later. That's why I started this business, is because I was tired of being broke. I did not think, when I started, I did not think I was going to make $100,000 a year. I did not think I was going to make $500,000 a year. I did not think I was going to make $1 million a year. I just hoped that I could make $1,000 per month. So, and the reason that I bring this up is that I know that some of you, and we talk about how you have people on the team that make $250,000 a year, or Jason Bergeron close to $750,000 a year, Ben Leclerc $500,000 a year, and many, many others that are doing incredibly well. And then you start to think, well, I don't think I could ever make that much money. I don't believe that I could ever make that much money. You do not have to believe you could make that much money. I didn't believe that I could make $1 million a year until I was probably making $700,000 or $800,000 a year. That's when I started to believe that. Here's what you need to believe, though. This is really important, is you need to believe whatever the next goal is in front of you, you need to believe that you could do that. So if you're not licensed, you need to believe that you can get your license. If you are licensed, then you need to believe that you could make your first $1,000. If you've made your first $1,000, then you need to believe that you can consistently make $1,000 a month. If your income is at $30,000 or $40,000 a year in this business, then you need to believe that you could make 50. When you make 50,000 a year, you need to believe you could make 100. But you do not need to believe all of those things up front. You just need to believe what is next. And here's the way, I'll mention two things. Here's the way that I convinced myself to keep going when I did not believe that I could. Would anybody want to know that? Right? Because have you ever felt this way? Have you ever felt like, I don't know if I can do this, right? Two ways. The first way is I looked at the examples of success around me. And I looked at men, women, younger, older, different cultures. And I remember thinking, if that man can do this, then I can learn how to do this. If that woman can do this, then I can learn how to do this. If that guy can do this, then I can do this. That was the first thing, is I looked at those examples of success that were all around me. The second thing that I did is I did a lot of personal development. So I was constantly reading good books. I was listening to good audio CDs. Back when I started doing this 21 years ago, there was no such thing as a podcast. There was no such thing as YouTube, I don't think, 21 years ago. So we would have to take recorders into classes. We would have to take recorders into classes, and we would have to record them and burn them onto CDs so that we could then listen to them in our car. But the more that I listened to good audios, and the more that I read good books, it taught me, but it also started to change my mindset a little bit and help me to be more positive and help me to believe. So those are some things that I did when I was kind of doubting whether I could do this or not. Those are some of the things that I did. The biggest one is I looked at the examples of success that were around me. Okay. Now I want to get into a few success tips for you, and hopefully I'll get through this quick enough so that we can do some questions. I'm sure that through your SMDs we could have some questions. One of the things that I want to talk about is that it is so important to show up for everything that you possibly can. It is so important to show up for everything that you possibly can. When I was new in this business, and I still don't miss any meetings, but when I was new in this business, I convinced myself that I had to be at every single training that I possibly could. And I was scared that if I missed a training, that what if I missed a training where somebody said something that would have helped me to get good at this or helped me get to my goals faster. So I made sure that I showed up for absolutely everything that I possibly could. And when you show up and you get really good at the basics of this business, so maybe that'll be my next point that I'll talk about, is when we think about the most basic skills in this business. And I would say that some of the most basic skills would be making a phone call to book a meeting. So making an invitation, let's say, an invitation. Once you're licensed, I would say doing a presentation. Okay, doing a presentation. Those are the two most basic skills. Now, from there, you learn how to gather info, you learn how to talk about insurance, you learn how to talk about investments, you learn about all of those types of things. But we'll say for now, the most basic are talking to people and doing a presentation. And what I would like you to all evaluate for yourselves is, how effective are you at making an invitation? Right? When you talk to somebody about your business, do they say yes, that they will get together with you? The majority of the time, do they say yes? Now, of course, it's a little bit more difficult if you're working in a cold market. Showed's hot, right? Foie, is that cold?
Yes.
I'll figure this out.
Yes,
Okay.
marché chaud, marché froid.
So yeah, yeah, I got them opposite there. Sorry about
Yes.
that. But when you're talking, if the majority of people that you talk to are not interested in sitting down with you, then I think that it's important that you spend some time practicing the words to get better at the words. We all want to make, I'll assume that we all want to make $100,000 a year in this business, or $500,000 a year, or $1 million a year. What I want you to ask yourself is, are your skills good enough to make $100,000 a year in this business? That's one of the things that I find that not everybody does, is they do not take the time to practice. So you have scripts that you can learn. You have recordings of maybe your SMD or Jason doing a presentation that you could listen to over and over again. Real Michaud, he was my trainer when I started, and he made a CD of himself doing the presentation. I listened to that CD over and over and over again in my car, even before I was licensed, because I wanted to master the words. When I talk to people, I wanted to know the best words to say, and I wanted to be able to do the best presentation. Okay. And so then as you show up for everything, as you get better and better at the business, and as you take action, okay, that's the next point that I want to talk about, is getting to work. Getting to work in this business. It is so easy just to sit on Zoom calls, or it's so easy just to show up at your office. I think it's Wednesday nights, when if you're in the Laval area and you can show up and you can be there, it's easy to just show up. So how much time are you putting in to the actual work in this business? So in my opinion, from my experience, the actual work in this business is two things: is either talking to people to book an appointment or invite a guest, but the real work is talking to someone to make an invitation, or being on an appointment. That's really the real work in this business. And so what I learned very early on in this business is that the number one most important thing that you need to focus on is how many new people you get in front of every week. So this business is very, very, very much a numbers business. And here's what I mean by that. If I talk to 10 people, probably not all 10 of them will be interested. And by the way, it doesn't matter what the product is, what the service is, what the company is, not everybody will be interested. So I need to make sure that I understand that I need to run the numbers, right? Let's say that I need to talk to 10 people to get 5 appointments, or let's say I need to talk to 10 people to get 1 appointment. Then I can still control how many appointments I have, because for every 10 people that I talk to, I'm going to get 1. Now, of course, it's typically going to be much, much more than just 1 out of 10, but I think that you get the point. And so the numbers cannot beat you if you run the numbers. So some of the important numbers that I have found in our business, and maybe I'll go through this really quick because I know a lot of you are quite new, but all of your business planning can be related back to how many new people you get in front of. So let's say that I get in front of, let's say for every 5 people that I meet with, I get 2 clients and 1 recruit. Let's just say, okay? For every 5 people I meet with, I get 2 clients and I get 1 recruit. Well, if I get 2 clients and on average I make $500 or $1,000 for every client that I meet with, for every client that I help, then that means for every 5 meetings I do, I get paid $1,000 to $2,000. That's one way to look at it. And let's say that one of them becomes a recruit. And then let's say that the average is that about 20% of our recruits will actually get their license. So if I want to get 2 people licensed, then that means I needed 10 recruits. So everything comes down to numbers. And by the way, it works this way in any business. When we had our Booster Juice store, we could count how many people needed to walk by the store for one customer to come in and buy something. We could figure out that for every customer that bought something, we could figure out what the average sale was per customer. So all businesses have numbers that we could break down. So if 20% of our recruits get a license, and then for every person that gets licensed, they do on average 20,000 points of business per year. So then I could break it down. If I want a business that does 1,000,000 points a year, a 1,000,000 point base shop, then I would need to have 50 licensed people. 50 licensed people that do 20,000 points each on average equals 1,000,000 points. So if I want to get 50 people licensed, then I probably need to recruit 250 people. I didn't plan to go too deep into those numbers, but once I started, I felt like it made sense for you to be aware of what those numbers are, so that if you're thinking about building a really, really big business, then that's the numbers that go. That's the numbers that go along with it. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier, but our team now is up to 1,850 licensed people, and I'm very grateful that you are all a part of that. So you show up, you work on your skills, and then over time, your efforts will compound over time. And maybe I could give you a few examples of that, and your efforts will compound over time for a few reasons. One of those reasons is because you are consistently getting better at the business. Every time you show up, you get better. Every person you talk to, you get better. Every appointment that you do, you get better. You just continue to get better and better. So that's one of the reasons that your efforts will compound, is you will get better at the business. Here's the other reason that your efforts will compound, is that you start to build a team. And when you have more people, you can help more clients, right? We could, sometimes people use the example. Let's say that somebody that owns a Tim Hortons store. Let's say you own a Tim Hortons and you want to sell more coffee. Okay. Now, if you just own one Tim Hortons store, it's probably going to be difficult to sell more coffee, right? You already have a certain amount of customers in your location and all of that sort of thing. So if you own a Tim Hortons and you want to sell more coffee, what do you probably need to do? You probably need to open another Tim Hortons, right? So in our business, part of the way that we help more families is by having new licensed agents. More licensed agents come to work with us. That's how we help more people. Yes, we want to do a good job of training the people that we have, but we don't want to just rely on the people that we have. We want to have new ones that we can train as well. So as an example, it took me, when I started, it took me 2 years to get to SMD. So for any of you that are new and that you want a bit of a challenge, I challenge you to get to SMD in less than 2 years. Though we did just have a couple on our team, Patrick and Regina Origby. They're in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and they have been in this business for 1 year, and they just got their SMD promotion. He quit a career as a psychologist to do this full time, and his wife is an engineer full time, and she does this part time. But it took me over 4 years in this business to promote my first SMD. So it took me 2 years to get to SMD, and then 2 more years to have 1 SMD. So in 4 years, I had 1 SMD on my team. Okay. Now, sometimes in 1 day, we will have 5 people that get their SMD promotion on our team in 1 day. So that's an example of how your efforts can compound over time, that at the beginning of my career, it took 4 years to get one. And now sometimes in one day, we'll have 5 new ones. We'll have 5 new ones that get promoted. And okay, back to talking about getting to work. This is absolutely the best business ever, but all businesses, anything good in our lives, are going to require work, and they're going to require commitment. Okay. And so I already mentioned before that the real work that matters in this business is talking to people to book appointments and being on appointments. So I would ask you a few questions around that. One of those questions, and this one is really important, is when do you schedule time to make phone calls and talk to people? Right? There's a lot of things in this business that are similar to studying, right? Let's say 21 years ago when I was brand new, and if I said, well, I'm just going to study when I have time, or I'm just going to study when I feel like it. When did I have time to study, and when did I feel like studying? Never, right? And so sometimes something simple like making phone calls in the business can be very similar. If I think, well, I'll make phone calls when I have time, I'll make phone calls when I feel like it. So what I suggest is that you have times booked in your schedule every week that you make phone calls. Now, that might be with your field trainer, it might be with your DM, it might be with your DPM. Maybe you do a big phone zone as a team, maybe not, but whatever happens to, whatever works, but having time scheduled in your calendar as to when you are going to talk to people and when you are going to make phone calls and when you are going to book appointments. And remember that the number one most important thing in this business is how many new appointments you have. Let's just say for example, that David, let's say that David books 3 new appointments every week. That would be 12 new appointments in a month. Now, if David just does 1 or 2 appointments, maybe somebody will be interested, maybe they won't. But if David has 12 appointments in a month, from my experience, at least half of those people will be interested in something. So if he just does a little bit, 1 or 2, maybe somebody will be interested, maybe they won't. But if he does more, let's say 10 or 12, then it's almost guaranteed that somebody will be interested in something. Okay. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about before we see if anybody has any questions to add is that I want us to reflect a little bit on, are you clear as to why you are doing this? Are you clear as to why you are doing this? And this is so important because doing what it takes to be successful at anything can be very uncomfortable, right? If, let's say that somebody wants to, they make a decision that they want to be better with their finances. Well, what do they need to do? They need to spend more money. They need to spend less money. They need to save more money. They need to invest. They probably need to eat out for dinner less. Maybe they need to go on less vacations, whatever it might be. If somebody wants to be smarter with their money, then they have tough decisions that they need to make about those things, right? What if somebody wants to make better decisions for their health and fitness? Then what do they have to do, right? They probably need to eat less. They need to move their body more. And those are things that are uncomfortable, right? We get used to eating junk food. We get used to not really exercising. And then in this business, to be successful in this business, we need to do some things that might be uncomfortable. We need to show up for training. We need to learn how to talk to people. We need to make phone calls when maybe we're a little bit nervous or a little bit scared or something like that. So it doesn't matter what it is in this world. If we want to be successful, we have to do things that are uncomfortable. So from my experience, you are more likely to do something that is uncomfortable if you are clear as to how it will make your life better. So just curious, are any of you studying right now, or are any of you in the HLLQP studying? Okay, awesome. So here's something I want you to think about, okay? Is how will your life be better when you pass all your exams? How is your life going to be better? Right? Maybe even, maybe even put it in the chat for those of you, right? Oh, Sabrina's studying to get Ontario license. Awesome. How will your life be better when you get your license? Well, one, then you don't have to study anymore. That's a good thing, right? When you don't have to study anymore. What else is good about being finished your licensing? Now you can help people and make money, right? Now it's an accomplishment that you could be proud of, right? A lot of us, myself included, after I finished high school, I never did exams for anything. So it was a proud accomplishment when I got my license. Now I want you to relate that. There we go, Roxanne. I like that one. More time to do calls. I love that one. Very, very good idea. So I want you to apply that idea, that concept for those of you. And how many of you are licensed already? Anybody licensed already? Okay, awesome. A bunch of you are licensed already. So how many of you, your next goal would be to get to associate? Anybody? Right? How many of you, your next goal would be to get to MD, DM? Right? Okay, awesome. So what I want you to be very clear is, how will your life be better when you get there, right? It will be an accomplishment that you will be proud of. You will get an increase in your pay. You'll get a pay raise. So for doing the same thing, you will get paid more money, right? You will be setting an example for your teammates, that's powerful. When your teammates see you getting promotions, then they are more likely to believe that they could get promotions as well. And so the clearer that you are as to how your life will be better, the more likely that you are to actually put in the work to be able to do that. So be as clear as you can, not just on your goal, but I want you to be clear as to how your life will be better when you get to that goal. Okay. And maybe the last thing that I'll talk about is just a little bit about what your life can look like when you build a great business here. Your life really can look like whatever you want it to look like. My family had some incredible experiences over the last few years. Especially, we've had so many cool experiences. In about 6 weeks, we're heading to Hawaii for the 18th time. I had never, how do I say that? Deesweet, Hawaii. I had never been to Hawaii in my entire life. And now this company has sent us there 18 times. And maybe I'll share, some other cool things, but, some of the most important things that we've been able to do are for some charitable causes that we feel very passionate about. So we have charities that we donate to every single month in, month out. A couple of months ago, we just decided that we wanted to donate an extra $10,000 towards something, and maybe I'll share that story in Banff. But to be able to give back to causes that are really important, or things that we've been able to do for my family. We bought my dad a house. We bought my mom a house. We helped my sister buy a house. I bought my mom a car. I bought my dad a car. And I just think about these things that when you build a big business that you help a lot of people and you earn a lot of income, the things that you can do for your loved ones are absolutely unbelievable. And then some of the fun things. I know you guys put some of the things in the chat. So my daughters are 10 years old and 13 years old. And so their favorite thing in the whole wide world, their favorite thing is Taylor Swift. Do people in Quebec like Taylor Swift, or is that just the rest of Canada? Or no? Yeah. Okay. So last summer, we took our kids to Seattle to take them to the Taylor Swift concert in Seattle. And I was blown away. It was the best concert that I've ever seen in my entire life. I know Sabrina and I were talking about that last time at Jason's house, and she's like, were they as good as Coldplay? And I said, I know, Coldplay is amazing. I've seen them in concert too. They're like the best. And Taylor Swift was even actually better than that, as crazy as that sounds. I know, I know. And so we took our kids to Taylor Swift, and I would rather not talk about how much it cost. But I think you guys know that when Taylor Swift was touring in the summer in the United States, as her tour went on, all of the tickets got more and more and more expensive because everybody found out how incredible it was. So our tickets were over $4,000 for one ticket. So for our family, it was $17,000 for 4 tickets, plus hotel, plus flights, plus all of that stuff. But we told our kids we were going to do it, and it was the best day of their lives, and we did it. And so then we took our kids to the concert on the Saturday in Seattle, and then my wife and I had so much fun at the concert that partway through the concert, I said to my wife, I said, tomorrow night, because she played 2 shows in Seattle, I said to my wife, I said, we should come back tomorrow night. You and me should have a date and come to the concert again. So my wife and I went to the concert again the next night. So some people say that that makes me a Swiftie because I went to the concert twice. That's okay. I guess I'm a Swiftie. And now we're actually taking them to London next summer, and we're going to London and Paris, and we're taking them to see Taylor Swift at Wembley Stadium in London. So I guess that'll be my third time, and it'll be our kids. It'll be their second time. And this was just a dream come true for our children. It feels crazy that we spent that much money. Like but it was the best day of our children's lives. And even smaller things like in March, my dad were big Oilers fans. Any Oilers fans out there? Oilers, go Oilers. Yeah. Hey, Oilers are better than Habs right now, right? We just won on Saturday. Hey, I like the Habs too. That's okay. So in March, I'm flying my dad to Toronto, and we're going to stay at the Fairmont downtown Toronto. We're going to go for dinner at the nicest restaurant in Toronto. We're going to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and then we're going to go watch the Edmonton Oilers beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. You guys can get behind that one, right? Beating the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah. Okay. Thought so. And that's going to be an incredible experience that I'm going to be able to have with my dad. So just some of the types of things that when you work hard and you build a great business, the types of things that you could do for your family and loved ones and with your family and loved ones, I'm just beyond grateful that I'm able to do those types of things. And you can build a business where you can do that too. Remember, I almost quit this business because I couldn't get my license. I almost quit this business because I couldn't get my license. I didn't go to college. I didn't go to university. I didn't do any of those types of things. I had no money when I started this business. I was pouring smoothies. That's what I was doing. So if I can learn this business and work hard and follow the system, then all of you can also work hard and follow the system and become successful too. So that's everything that I had planned to talk about. I could maybe do like 1 or 2 really quick questions because I know I went over time already. But take it away, Kevin.
Wow, good job. Awesome, Greg. Seriously, it was just awesome. Est-ce qu'il y a des gens qui avaient peut-être comme on a peut-être le temps pour 1 ou 2 questions rapides. Puis par la suite, on va faire un petit débriefing de tout ça. Fait que peut-être juste lever votre main avec Exact. Fait Adam, Sab, alright, let's go. Question. Adam, ensuite, on va d'abord.
You'll see where I'm going with this, Greg. First thing first, thank you very much for the training. It was awesome. When I was in the military, I was going for, let's say, 1 month into existence. When I came back, I was so excited about my refrigerator. Wow, I got a refrigerator. The week after, a little bit less. First week, after being gone for 1 month, I was so excited about my bed. 2 weeks, 3 weeks after, not so excited. Human get used to things. We adapt. It gets normal. How do you still look and be you look so excited about what you talk about? Yeah, so fairly my question is how do you make yourself still so excited about what you tell, about what you do, even after all those year, maybe
Yeah.
being at the same refrigerators and stuff? No.
Yeah, I get it. Great question, Adam. Nice to see you, by the way, brother. Awesome that you're on here. And I do know exactly what you mean because it is a very normal human thing that we get used to things. We get comfortable, we get accustomed, those types of things. So the first answer that came to mind for me, so two answers came to mind. The first answer that came to mind is that for a long time now, this has not been about me anymore. So I have the life that I want to have for the most part. I have the life that I want to have. Now, do I want to make more money and invest more money and have more cool experiences and do more things for my parents? And yes, right? But if everything stayed the same, everything would be okay, you know? So it really is not about me anymore. It's about helping other people to have the same experience in their life that we've been able to have in our life. And that's all the different phases, just going through getting your debt paid off, getting money saved, buying your first house, paying off your car, then eventually saving $100,000, saving $500,000, saving $1 million. There's all of those different levels to that. So I want to help other people get out of debt. I want to help other people save money. I want to help other people to be able to quit jobs that they don't like and get to do something for themselves that they get to be passionate about. So that's the first answer, is that there's a point in your business where it becomes more about everybody else and not as much about yourself. The second thing that I've noticed is that there is always another level. There's always another level. So for example, if you're going to go on a trip to Disneyland, right? Sabrina mentioned the Disney thing. So I could talk about that a little bit right now. So there's different ways, if somebody wants to experience Disneyland, there's different ways that you could do it, right? You could fly there where you have 1 or 2 stopovers to get there, right? And usually those flights are a little bit cheaper, but it takes way longer. It's a lot more stressful, right? Then you could stay at a tiny little motel or hotel that doesn't really feel very safe, that's far, far away from Disneyland, and you have a long way to drive every day to get there, or a long day to walk, right? Or, right, you could fly on a flight that is direct. And then if you're flying on a flight that's direct, you could either sit in a seat at the back of the airplane, or you could sit in a seat at the front of the airplane where they serve you your drinks in real glasses and you have more room and they bring you a hot meal and you get on the plane first and you get off the airplane first. And so there's different ways to experience the same thing. Then when you go to Disneyland, right, you can buy a pass where you can go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, or you can pay a little bit extra so that you don't have to wait in as many lineups, or you can do a VIP experience where you have a Disney host that takes you and your family to all of the rides and you skip past every single ride. And then they take you from one park and they take you in a back secret entrance to another park. Now, doing that is about $10,000 a day to do that. Yeah, exactly. Like what? But there's different ways to experience the same things, right? If you go to a Habs game, right, you could sit in row 75 right at the top, or you could sit in a section that has bigger seats and that has food included and servers that come to your seats and bring. So there's different ways to experience the same thing. So the reason that I'm still so excited right now is that it's mostly not about me. It's about helping others, but also I want to live life at those next levels. I want to live life at those next levels. So I hope that answers your question, brother.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Love it.
Sabrina,
Gregorio!
what's up?
I'm kidding. Thank you for being here tonight. So appreciated that you take your time. Did you hear that? Jesus. We're so excited. We can't wait to have you in our new office in Quebec City. I hope you're gonna come visit. It's awesome. It's better than Laval.
I'm
I
gonna come
hope they
visit.
will
I'm gonna
hear
come
that.
visit soon.
Yes.
Really soon.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We can't wait. Secondly, I guess I'm gonna have to go see Taylor Swift because you said she's better than Coldplay, which I doubt, but we'll see.
We'll
We'll
find out.
see.
Yep.
Yes. But more seriously, I feel that, like, looking back right now at when I started, I had it easy because and I took it for granted. And what I mean by that is when you're started, you don't have your license. I feel it's so much easier to get people to come see what you do because you're like, hey, I just started. I need your help. Blah 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 blah. So easy. And now I'm getting a little bit of like approach resistance, like sale resistance, if I can say. Do you have any advice when you're not like new anymore and you need to go get personal clients, personal recruits?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my
I
question.
do. And this might, some of these things might not be true to you, or applicable to you, but I'll just mention a few things anyways. One thing, it's very normal that when we've been in the business for 6 months or we've been in the business for a year, it's crazy to say, but we're not as excited as we were before. So that might be one thing, is that when we're brand new, we're just like so excited. And a lot of people say yes, just because we're so excited. And then once we've been doing this longer, I don't know if we're trying to be more professional or something. I don't know what it is, but we're not showing as much excitement. Right? That could be part of it. Second is when you were, if you felt like you were having good success when you were kind of saying, hey, I'm new, can you help me out? That sort of thing. You could actually take a similar approach even when you're licensed, because you still need their help to get to look at what you're doing so that they can help you get the word out about what you're doing. So you actually can have a very, very similar sort of mentality, even when you've been licensed for a little while, compared to being brand new. I would be, and it won't always work, but I would be assumptive, like I mentioned earlier, that, when I talk to somebody, I'm not really saying, so do you want to get together? I'm saying, so we should get together. When do you, what works best for you to have 30 or 40 minutes, something along those lines. So I would be assumptive. And then maybe the last thing that I'll mention is a little bit of a reminder of the mindset when we reach out to people. One of the things that I've thought about many times is that we cannot be afraid to inconvenience people for their own good. We cannot be afraid to inconvenience people for their own good. Of course, if I make a phone call and I meet with somebody and I help them get a policy, or they come into this business, right? That's good for me. If they get a policy, I get paid. If they come into this business and get licensed, I could get overrides and I could make money from that. But what I have to remember is that the benefit for them is way better than any benefit that I could have, right? For example, one of our agents in our office, Ben Hilborn, he just had a client about, I believe it was 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago now. And this guy did a policy with WFG maybe like 5 years ago, a couple $100 a month. Let's say it was $150 a month. So about $2,000 a year. He's had it for 5 years. He's paid about $10,000 for the policy. He got killed in a car accident a couple of weeks ago, and he has $1 million of life insurance. So when the agent put it in place, the agent probably got paid, I don't know, $2,000 or something like that, right? A good, nice paycheck for helping one client do one policy. But now that policy is worth $1 million to that client, right? So we've just got to remember that mindset wise, we've got to remember that though, yes, we are trying to build our business, and that's okay, right? We're trying to build our business here. We're trying to make money. That's okay. People need to, but the benefit for the people that we're helping is much, much bigger than the benefit for us. And sometimes when we've been in the business for a while, sometimes we have to get a little bit more creative to figure out, who did I used to work with? Who did I used to go to school with? Who did I play sports with? Who are my cousins? Who are my, friends of friends? And sometimes we've just got to get a little bit more creative. But I hope a couple of those things helped you, Sabrina. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Last but not least, Lori. Miss Lori Blanchette, how are you tonight?
I'm good. What about you, Greg?
Very good, thank you.
You look amazing. And I just wanted to say, honestly, you're an incredible speaker. I could hear you for years and years. I never get tired of it. Literally, I never get tired of it. And I was telling Johan the other day, I was like, babe, I wish I could just have like a 5 minutes call with Greg every single day. I would be fired up. I would do everything in the business. I would be like, would be the most incredible thing ever. But honestly, yeah, I just want to tell you how much I love you as a speaker. I love you as a person. That was not my question, obviously, but I just wanted to say that first. You're welcome. And yeah, so my question, I'll try to be quick because I know you had until 9 p.m. So that's why I'm taking like 3 minutes of your time. But you can talk as much as you want. Like I was saying, you can take your time. It's not a 3 minute that's gonna stop you. Anyway, so my question is, you were saying when you started, you were 22 years old. So you considered you had like a cold market, which it makes it a little bit more difficult for the people, well, for us to do the business in a very like.
So it was, just because I know I mixed up my words. So it was my warm market, but it was just that they weren't really buying anything because they were 20, 21. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant because I figure like me and Johan, we kind of are in the same like kind of situations. I feel like, well, it's not that nobody buys anything. It's just a lot of people don't think about that yet. Mm-hmm. They're not about having a life insurance yet and everything like that. So my question is, do you have main things that you did at first to kind of go to a more to a nicer market, like to kind of don't go to just your friends, like your young friends, and maybe reach some people that are kind of older than you, because I know it's our identity as well, because we have trouble doing that since we don't feel like we are at the same level as people being 30 years old or 40 years old. But how did you do that? Like, how do you feel comfortable to go above your level kind of and like just break the ice? I don't know if
this is a great question. This is a great question. Does anybody else want to hear the answer too? I think this is a really good question, really good topic. So a whole bunch of things come to mind. The first one is that it's important to identify if you're younger or you notice that the people that you're meeting with are a lot younger. It's important to identify that you want to level up your market. And so I would say for me, I mean, it makes a big difference. Usually if I sit down with somebody that's 21 or 22 compared to if I sit down with somebody that's 25 or 26, usually that starts to make a pretty big difference, right? So it was something that I thought about all of the time. How can I get in front of people that are a little bit older? So that's the first thing is just making that decision. So how did I actually do it? When I was making phone calls, I made sure that I was contacting people that I even knew just a little bit that were in that slightly older market. Or instead of just calling my friend, maybe I was calling my friend's parents if I'd ever met them before. Or instead of calling my cousin that was my age, maybe I would call my aunt and uncle, I would call their parents. And of course, we want to meet with everybody and we want to help everybody. But so I was very intentional that I was trying to meet with people that are a little bit older. When I was asking people for referrals, I wasn't necessarily saying the age, but I was telling them the types of people that we can usually help the most are people that own a house, people that are married, people that have kids, maybe somebody that's saving up for a house, maybe somebody that finished college. And so as opposed to sometimes the way that we ask for referrals, it ends up coming across that we're trying to meet people that are broke that need help with their money. Well, of course we want to help them as well. But when I was asking for referrals, I would say, do you know anybody that's buying a house or bought a house? Do you know anybody that's having a baby or had a baby? Do you know anybody that just got married or is getting married? That type of thing. And so that could lead to a little bit better referrals and better market. In terms of who I followed up with the most. So over time, you end up having a gigantic list of all the people that, that you've contacted yourself, recruits, their market, referrals, and you end up with kind of a gigantic mix. And so instead of, let's say if I have 100 people on my list and 50 of them are over 25 and 50 of them are under 25, then I'm going to prioritize the ones that are a little bit older, the ones that I think are actually in a position to take advantage of our products and services. And then when I did a fast start with a new agent, I focused on their market that was a little bit older, right? If I did a startup with you and I talked to you about that and said, hey, for your first meetings, we really want to meet with people that are more likely, that we can actually help them. So we should usually start with people that are either married or have kids or own a home or, they have their first, or they have a good job or something like that. Not because we don't want to help everybody, but because we want to meet with people that we are most likely to be able to help, because then you will learn way more if we're meeting with those types of people. And then the biggest thing I can probably add to that is that you're dressed extremely professionally, Lori. So, I made sure that I dressed very professionally. To be honest, I don't always wear a suit anymore. I should probably. But when I was young and growing up in the business, I was wearing a suit all the time. I wanted to make sure that I carried myself professionally. I read a lot of personal development books so that I learned how to be able to be more confident and to be able to carry myself better. And then the last one is kind of funny. So when I was maybe like 25 or 26, 24, 25, and I needed a new car, and I bought a car that had 4 doors because I thought maybe when I pull up to somebody's house, if my car has 4 doors, they might think I have a family. I'm not going to lie to them. I'm not going to tell them, but I thought if I drive a car with 4 doors, maybe people will think that I'm a little bit older or a little bit more mature or something like that. So, there's a whole bunch of ideas there. I hope that helps.
Wow, thank you so much. I'll buy a car with 4 doors, just to let you know. I'll think
or a
about
minivan, like Kevin just said. Buy a minivan. Take it to. I wasn't willing to go quite that far, but yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for your time, Greg. That was amazing. An amazing answer as well. So I'm very glad you took the time.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
So with that, everybody, I guess it's time to wrap up. I'll just say a very quick thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for everything that you all do to help make this team such an incredible team. I am really grateful for every single one of you. And I am going to be in the Quebec City office soon, and I'll be in the Laval office at least once in 2024. I just don't know when, but if you're in Quebec City, stay tuned. I'm going to be there soon, sooner than you think.
Thank you so much, Greg. Can we give a big round of applause to Greg on Zoom? I know it's not the same as in person, but we really appreciate it. We can't, I'm speaking pretty loudly, but we just went to put the kids to bed, and I keep hearing them. I'm just like, you do you, take advantage of this, because after you're gonna go to sleep. I just want to say a couple quick words. If you have to go, it's super fine. But I just want to, I think Greg, you gifted us with it's not always the same, but it's people just need to keep hearing the same things, same information to the new people, and just hearing it when you need to hear it. So everything you said was awesome. I'm not going to go over everything. There was so much. I can't ever go through the same value, but we're going to
if I sign off, then you can speak in French.
Yeah, we'll totally like try to do like a little like thing in French so that people can understand. But I just want to say thank you. You just reminded us how humans are humans. If you don't schedule it, you won't do it because you won't feel like it. You have to schedule it. There's a couple of gold nuggets. You gave so much tips that numbers are numbers. You have to know them and use them. Be clear on like why you're doing it, because it's never about the how. If you're really like honest with yourself, it's never about the how. We can always figure out the how. It's always about the why and what it's going to get to you and your family, and understand that things will compound, and your goal, giving us the permission to have a smaller goal at the beginning that is more to us, and then that's not a word, but like getting our vision bigger and bigger. So thank you so much. And it's a silly thing that I wrote down on my paper. I really want to say it to you because I feel I'm learning Morse right now, and I'm trying to make you easier for you to remember cold and hot in French. So in my my trick that I thought of is chaud is warm. So chaud is like a C, so it's like a hug. And F is like a kind of an X, kind of a like don't talk to me. So if that can help you remember chaud and froid, that's gonna be super cool. So I'm wishing you a good night with your family. Thank you for taking time. I don't know what time it is at your place, but thank you for taking time. That is an appointment time, and I wish you have a best year of your life also.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Pour les gens, on peut rester comme un petit 5 minutes pour ceux qui veulent peut-être avoir un petit recap en français de Holly. Si t'es capable. Si t'es capable. Puis en même temps, je partage un lien dans le chat juste pour avoir votre feedback. Donc, c'est un petit Google Forms si vous pouvez prendre comme un petit 2 minutes. OK? Il y a pas grand-chose. Je pense qu'il y a comme 5 questions. Fait que c'est 5 questions à répondre juste pour avoir votre feedback par rapport à la formation de ce soir avec Greg. Ça serait super apprécié si vous pouvez prendre un petit 2 minutes par rapport à ça. Je vous remercie d'avoir été présent et je laisse la parole encore une fois à Holly.
Salut!
Si vous devez quitter, comme vous pouvez quitter en passant.
Ouais, c'est ça. Quitter, si vous voulez quitter, tout ça va être enregistré. Est-ce qu'on a arrêté l'enregistrement?
Non, pas encore.
On arrête ça.